Well, good afternoon everybody, and welcome once again to Ed's Orchids. The weather here is blowing a gale at the moment, and the temperature's dropped a little bit and the wind is icy cold, but it's still about 10 degrees, so in the greenhouse it's nice and warm, and you've just heard the fan come on, so it'll be about 19 or 20 in here. Now today I'd just like to talk a bit about watering. I've been asked a few questions regarding this, and the main question to ask is, when do I water it? Well, it goes without saying, you water them when they need watering, and that's about all I can say. But for experienced growers, you know, the people who've been growing for 3-4 years and things like that, they'll determine by the weight of the pot when it needs watering. You know, when it needs watering it'll be light, when it's being watered it'll be heavy. For newcomers to the hobby, it's recommended that you buy some of these bamboo skewers, very thin things. You can get them from the supermarkets, and you stick them in the pot, and if you take one out and it's wet at the bottom, you don't water. If you take it out and it's dry, then that's the time to water. But there's one or two things you've got to take into consideration with orchids, and that is, no matter what condition you've got them in, be it if you've got them in the wrong light, if you've got them in the wrong conditions altogether, they will eventually adapt to those conditions. But one thing they will never adapt to is incorrect watering. When to water depends on lots of things. It depends on what you keep them in, whether they're in plastic pots, whether they're in clay pots, and also the composition of the media you keep it in. Some people like heavy mediums, whereby the medium holds a lot of water, or the one I prefer, which is a light medium, one where when you water them, the water runs straight through. And they don't all dry out at the same rate. All depends if they've got a good root system or they've got a poor root system. If they've got a poor root system, they won't need as much water. If they've got a good root system, they'll need plenty of water. Irrigation is very, very important to the well-being of orchids. As you know, I flush a lot, which removes salts from the medium, and I do it after every feeding. You know, I think if you had a look at my last video, when I measured the runoff water, it was even less than the water I start with, which showed how much fresh water was still in the medium and the other pots. And we've all experienced leaf tip burn or root loss and all that sort of stuff. It's always due to incorrect watering and incorrect amounts of fertiliser put in. So be very, very careful. Just fertilise sort of just a quarter strength every month or every fortnight, whichever. But watch out for those leaf tip burns. And another thing about salts is that they can alter the pH of the makeup in your medium, and this can stop the plant taking up the essential nutrients they need, because a build-up of salts is the major cause of losing plants. So make sure you flush them all the time, and then keep those salts down in the medium. I think plastic pots are the best for this. In ceramic pots, then it soaks the water in, and it also soaks in the salts. So you see in any of these terracotta pots, white on the outside, those are the salts that are being held in the medium, or actually in the pot. And they cannot be good for any orchid that's growing roots. Stick to the inside of the pots, because they'll be subject to salts most of the time. Well, I don't think there's much more I can say about watering. I'm just going to show a few plants now, just do a little bit of fertilising on the plants, and that'll be it for today, I think. So, Well, I'm going to start a bit of watering now on these plants that are hung up. I'm going to give them some calcium nitrate, which gives them the calcium which is important for the build up of the cell walls, and it also gives it some nitrogen, which is for growth. You know, but you've got to be careful with the nitrogen, because if you're sort of growing them in bark, then the bark will use all the nitrogen up for decomposition. So you've got to give it extra nitrogen to combat that. And I'll also be giving them some Epsom salts, but I'll be giving them 3 times more calcium than I will these Epsom salts. So I'll give these sort of 200 parts per million at the most, when they're all mixed together. So we'll put some calcium nitrate in here, not too much. That's about enough, a bit more, lovely. And then mix that with boiling water, just to dissolve it. I'll fill it up, then I'll add it to the cold water to warm that up a bit. There we are, it's all dissolved. So we'll add this to the RO water, which measures no parts per million, and then we'll just give this a measure, see what it measures at. Well, we're using the TDS meter, and it's been in there for about 10 seconds, so we'll press the hold button, and that's registering at 173. So when I put the Epsom salts in, we'll get it up to about 200. Alright, we'll give it a little bit of Epsom salts. Doesn't need a lot. That's probably ample. Probably make it just over 200. So we'll put that in there. We'll put some more hot water in to bring the water up to temperature to about 22-23 degrees centigrade. And then we'll measure the TDS again. Well, that's 208, so that's fine. That's fine. I'll water all the hanging ones with this, and then we'll just test the runoff water as well to see what that's like, because I do flush quite often. And these again will be flushed again this afternoon. I will just get 1 or 2 down now and give them a good flushing. Now this is the Corolla Ordinauer. If you remember, I got one with a terrible root rot. Put some dragon's blood on it, cured the root rot, and it started to grow again. And this is the little seedling I've got out of it. So it's doing very nicely. Coming up with a nice little new leaf in the middle. Now I'll not hang these back up, I'll just put them down here, because if I hang them back up it'll be dripping all over my head. This is one of the Rothschildianums. It's flowered once before, and it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 new growths on it. Should never let these sort of plants dry out completely. Always keep them moist. And if you're using pots like I'm using, then you've no chance of overwatering them. This is a path angel hair that had a bit of rot in the crown there, but it's stopped now, but there's no new growth that I can see. But it's not taking a downward trend, so that's good, because this is such a beautiful plant that I'd hate to lose it. This is a Hangieanum. I have a Hangieanum somewhere, haven't I? But it's in bud somewhere. But where it is, I don't know. We'll find it. And this is a species, Paphiopedilum supoidii. Beautiful little flowers on this one when it flowers, but this is going to be a year or two yet before this starts developing any spikes and then blooms. Just make sure you don't get any water in the crown. But that doesn't really matter on a red hot day, you know, if you're watering in the morning, because it'll dry out at night. But on an overcast day like today, then you've got to make sure it's dry before nightfall. This is another of those small Rothschildianums I was talking about in my last video, and that's coming up with some nice new growth there. Beautiful plants these when they flower. This has got two growths and another new growth coming up there, so quite happy with this one. Well, here's the Hangieanum I was just mentioning, and there's the bud. Very, very slow to grow. Very slow. Not come up like the others, where the others come up with two leaves. This has just come up with a bud straight away. Nothing else, just the bud. So it's new for me, this one, Hangieanum. They're not easy to flower, but we'll see what happens to this one. Well, I've watered now 16 plants, so we'll just have a look what the runoff water's like. If you remember, I think it was 208 before we started. This is the runoff water. Just like me, I forgot to take the bottom off here. I never measure it that way, will I? That's better. Wag it around a bit, press the hold. And it's gone less, it's 195. So that just shows you how much flushing of the water helps to keep the salts down. So it's dropped, what, 13 parts per million after watering 16 plants? Unbelievable. So I'll use this water again for the next lot. Anyhow, that's about all for today, so thank you very much for watching. Hope it hasn't bored you too much, and until I see you next time, you take care, and I'll see you later. Bye.